Welcome to the Business Talk podcast. I'm your host Deepak. We are delighted to welcome the highly esteemed Professor Hanna Halaburda to join us today. Professor Hanna became part of the NYU Stern School of Business in September 2019, where she served as an associate professor of technology, operations, and statistics. Her research dwells into how technological advancements are reshaping economic dynamics and transforming business strategies and market interactions. Since 2011, she has been pioneering studying in the realm of digital currencies and blockchain, exploring topics such as consensus protocols, cryptocurrency adoption, smart contracts, and token issuance. Her insights have been featured in top academic journals like Management Science, RA&D, Games and Economic Behavior, and Harvard Business Review. Additionally, she co-authored Beyond Bitcoin, The Economics of Digital Currency in 2015 with second edition in 2022, a seminal work that was among the first to approach digital currencies through an economic lens. Prior to joining NYU Stern, Professor Halaburda was an associate assistant professor at Harvard Business School and a senior economist at the Bank of Canada. In this episode, Professor Halaburda will explore her research topic, token economics, how blockchain is redefining value in digital platforms. Dr. Hanna Halaburda, it's an absolute privilege and pleasure to welcome you to the podcast.
Thank you very much. It's great to be here.
Could you start by explaining the concept of tokenomics and why it is crucial for digital platforms today?
So tokenomics is the logic and practice of issuing tokens, distributing tokens, and managing tokens overall. And it is actually very important for platforms because in platform design, we can get these additional features coming from cryptographic tokens. And we need to recognize that tokens have been around in platforms and not only platforms for a very, very long time. So for example, Amazon issued Amazon coin. Facebook at its time issued Facebook credits. Almost every video game will have tokens within the game, either fungible or non-fungible. So if you think about World of Warcraft, there will be tokens like shields and swords, and there will be tokens like gold. So tokens have been around in platforms for a long time, and they serve very important functions to enforce and strengthen and create network effects, add value to the experience, and also bring more users. Now, what happens in the context of cryptographic tokens sitting on a blockchain, it gives this independent possibility of trading the tokens that is outside of the platforms. So before blockchain tokens, when we just had tokens issued by platforms themselves, platforms could change the usage of the tokens after they're being issued, or they could redefine tokens, or they could say arbitrarily the tokens cannot be traded, or the tokens lose their value in some way, or we are just deleting the tokens. They could do all this. When it comes to tokens issued on a blockchain, the platform gives away this right and says the tokens are issued on an external, a different platform, a blockchain. And now that means that they are sitting on a blockchain and they can be transferred and therefore traded outside of the platform that issued it. And that gives a whole new functionalities to those tokens, which may enhance the value of the platform, but also may be detrimental.
Professor, how do tokens create value within blockchain ecosystems? And how is this different from traditional currency or reward systems?
So within the blockchain ecosystem, the blockchain ecosystem could not function without tokens. So first of all, if we start with Bitcoin, which would be the first kind of blockchain platform and something that we think about when as the origin of whole blockchain discussion, we could not have a decentralized digital currencies if we would not be able to create Bitcoins with which the miners are rewarded. And therefore, if you think about any other blockchain platform, it is maintained with the usage of native tokens. Native tokens provide incentive for the decentralized ecosystem to maintain high quality database. If the value of these tokens fails and therefore they do not provide sufficient incentives, we have seen that some of those platforms completely disintegrate, and they lose both the users and the validators, and maybe the code is still there, but they are for all practical purposes inactive.
In what ways do token models influence user behavior? Could you share examples of platforms that have successfully incentivized participation through tokenomics?
Yes. So tokens, just like subsidies, may bring users to the platform. And this is very important because platforms are subject to network effects, or in other words, platforms are businesses in environments where network effects are present. This is where the value of participating in the platform depends on the number of other people that already participate in the platform. So this would be true for non-blockchain platforms as well. If you think about Facebook or Instagram, it's no fun to be the only person on Facebook or Instagram because there's nobody to interact with. The more people are there to interact with, the more, especially if your friends are there, or maybe if it's Twitter, more people who are hearing your posts, the more value there is to participate in the platform. And that makes starting a platform a very difficult task, because it's almost impossible to start a platform small. Whereas in for other products that are not platforms, that are not subject to network effects, you can start small. If you are producing soap, you can start with a small batch. It's like you increase the batch and you increase the batch. However, with network or platform with network effects, if you start small, people will try it and then they will leave it, and then they will not want to try it again, and it's really difficult. So you need to start large, or you need to convince people to join a platform that is not yet functional. And traditionally, platforms have been doing that with subsidies. So PayPal early on would offer you $10 if you set up an account, just for people to set up an account and start using the app and the platform. Uber, similarly, when you set up an account, you get a $10 credit, you get subsidies. And subsidies have been very helpful and very effective strategy for platforms to enter. The drawback is that for subsidies, you do need capital to bring in. You need upfront capital that may be either very expensive or maybe not accessible. So if you come up with a new business model, you want to create completely new platform like peer-to-peer file storage, an example would be Filecoin. You go to venture to VCs back in 2016, 2017, and you say, we want to create this peer-to-peer network. They don't know exactly how to assess it. They may be very cautious. Even if they provide capital, that would be at a high expense. You would try to get capital from the bank, maybe almost impossible to do it. And this is where tokens come in, because if you issue tokens, you may convince people that it's worth to acquire these tokens and therefore be able to participate in this platform later on, even if there is still risk involved. So, for example, if you have platform and you say, I will give you this, I cannot pay you $10, but I can give you this token. In fact, I'm asking you to pay $1 for this token. And the token gives you access to the services on the platform. You may want to take this token, try the platform. If you don't like the platform, then you have the token that you are able to sell. And in expectation, the platform is going to have such a strategy that this token will have some positive value later on, because they will not overissue the tokens if they actually want the platform to prosper. So now, instead of giving $10 subsidy, you may even, in fact, charge $1, and you're going to get people joining in, a lot of people joining in. So you do have sufficient value on the platform for it to function. Yes, some people will try it and they will leave it, and they will leave the platform, and now they can sell the token. But the fact that they can sell the token was exactly what brought them in the first place. And there have been platforms that successfully used this token strategy that were unlikely to get external funding. And two examples that come to my mind at the top of my head would be Filecoin for peer-to-peer file storage, and another one is Helium, which is a decentralized wireless provision. And what is kind of interesting is that Filecoin started as a blockchain project with tokens right away, whereas Helium was a just regular platform, non-blockchain based platform project that had difficulty getting this critical mass to get going. But after they issued cryptographic token, a token on blockchain, they actually did get enough traction. People did join the network. Even if some people bought the token for speculation, then maybe they got curious, they started using the network, and that added enough people in to create critical mass and get the network out of and get the platform off the ground.
Very insightful. Professor, how can platforms design token models that promote long-term engagement rather than short-term speculation?
So that is issue, that is the speculation and the short-term or lack of long-term engagement is a problem that platforms face. And it may be more benign or more acute depending on the role that the token is taking. So, for example, if it is if the token is the token to use the platform, speculation may not be that bad, because if you have speculation, it actually adds value to the token. It makes it more, it assures the users who want to try the platform that they will be able to sell the token if they don't like the platform. If they acquire a platform, they try it, but they actually don't want to use these tokens for the services, they have a more viable exit opportunity, which will attract more people. So sometimes speculation is not bad. But in other cases, especially if we're thinking about governance tokens, where you want users to vote on the proposals and on the direction of the platform, then having a quick exit option, which means that you can sell it to somebody else, and it may be speculator, or it may be somebody who is gathering a lot of those tokens, that may allow users or somebody to amass majority of the tokens and take control of the DAO. And then this may be a problem, because the point of the DAO is to not have a central party who has a control and maybe could extract the value from the platform. You want to decentralize it. But if you do not put any restrictions on trading and acquiring of tokens, then that may backfire and you may end up with re-centralization, which, by the way, is happening in many of the DAOs. So then the question is, what can be done? And obviously, putting a restriction on how many tokens you can own is not viable in a permissionless environment, right? It would be the most obvious one. But if I can only own 3 tokens, I'm going to set up 10 accounts and I'm going to own 30. So this is not viable. The other thing that can be done is that after a token is maybe sold or maybe airdropped or maybe given in some way, you may put restrictions on how quickly and how often it can be traded. Now, of course, this is going to decrease the value of the token itself. But the question is the higher price of the token goal of the platform, or frictions in trading may actually help the functionality of the platform. So I would say that vesting times, so any token cannot be resold at least X amount of time after it was acquired, is one of the reliable ways in which you can prevent speculation.
What are some strategies that platform can implement to ensure the sustainability of their token ecosystem, especially during market volatility?
So let's ask, what is the sustainability of the ecosystem, right? You do want users to stay engaged, even when the token price is volatile. And this is when you probably want to create some other functionality for the token. So if the token is only a price that is going up and down in minds of the token holder, then they will want to sell it when the price is going down. If the token has functionality in terms of the value of the services on the platform, so whether it will be usage of Helium or usage of Filecoin, then maybe lower price tokens is actually the time when you should buy the token, right? And that may help sustain. In other situations, you may add some other functionality, and that may be a token. So basically adding to token holders of the basic utility token, you can airdrop tokens that are governance tokens or community tokens, right? So you can add other services on top of the original tokens that you have without diluting the original tokens, because there's no harm or no barriers to adding different types of tokens with different functionalities. You definitely want to, if it's possible for a particular platform, you want to increase community strength so that people feel that they are attached to the platform and its functionality, and maybe other people. That also increases network effects and retention of the user engagement.
How is tokenomics changing the competitive landscape among the digital platforms? Can you highlight any key players leveraging tokens to gain a competitive edge?
So I would say that the token-based platforms, or let me say it in different ways, the tokens as a new design tool or new tool in the design of the platform allows more platforms to come to life and be viable platforms and compete with the incumbents that dominated the market before tokens. We don't really see, for example, Uber competitors coming from the crypto ecosystem, but we do see new types of platforms coming in other parts of the market, and sometimes challenging the existing systems. So, for example, Filecoin is a good example of creating a platform where competitors were not a platform. So Dropbox, which is a competitor to Filecoin, is not a platform. It's just a company that is managing its user base. Whereas Filecoin is now a platform, and it managed to come into existence because of this of the tokens, and it is and the usage is being managed by the value and availability of the token. So we can see more competitive challengers to the existing platforms. And also we can see new markets for platforms opening up because of those tokens and the functionality that is afforded by this external tradability of blockchain tokens.
Professor, what are some common challenges or pitfalls that platforms face when implementing token strategies?
So one would be what we already mentioned is unbridled tradability. So issuing tokens, airdropping tokens that then are quickly sold is detrimental both for the usage, engagement, and the price of the token. So this would be the biggest challenge. The second challenge would be issuing tokens and distributing tokens not carefully enough. So if the tokens are airdropped, then the airdrops need to be carefully, strategically distributed, and presumably to the users who have the highest usage value of the platform, rather than so-called farmers who are active on the platform or present on the platform only to get the airdrop and immediately exit the platform. Now, this is challenging. It's challenging how to differentiate the users from the farmers. But one way to do it is to award airdrop tokens for activity that is truly adding value to the platform. Because if it's truly adding value to the platform, it forces farmers to do maybe costly action, but the action that adds value to other users on the platform. And that may reward the value adding activity. So two things is whether to in some way add friction to tradability of the token, and whether carefully design how the airdrop tokens are distributed.
How do issues like regulatory uncertainty and technological barriers affect the development of token-based platforms?
So regulatory uncertainty, especially in terms of tokens, is a question of whether and how easily tokens will be tradable. Because if suddenly token is considered a security, then there will be significant frictions to tradability. And that may worry about that, may prevent some of the users from purchasing or acquiring the tokens. Similarly, if there is like a if there is insufficient familiarity with the technological system, then of course this is going to create natural barrier to entry for some users to even participate in the ecosystem. However, I would worry most about the I would say tokenomics literacy, to be more aware of where the value of particular token is coming from, because people who may have technological access to acquiring tokens, but they do not have sufficient tokenomics literacy to make good decisions about how to assess the value of the token, the value of the services the token provides. That may be worse barrier, and it may create more risk than just difficulty in accessing the system.
How do you envision the role of token economics in shaping the next wave of digital platforms and decentralized ecosystems?
So I think that, like I said, we need better literacy, better understanding of what tokens are and how to assess the value of the token. Because it is so easy to create tokens and create what pretends to be a platform based on cryptographic tokens. It is so easy to create it that there is a lot of misinformation in the market. And we have seen many tokens that have been issued, sold, and then completely failed to create a platform. And not just ICO boom that was in 2017, 2018. We see that all over again, many times with different tokens. Maybe it's less covered by the media, but we do see it many times. We do see it a lot. And that creates a lot of skepticism. So first of all, truly viable projects should do more in educating users. so that people are willing to invest. And with that, I see that there may be many more platforms that are being created that do not require the deep pockets of VCs the way that the traditional platforms have been created in recent past.
Professor, could you share examples of platforms that have innovatively used tokens to build successful digital ecosystems? And what lessons can emerging platforms learn from these pioneers?
So I think I'm going to go back to examples we have seen before. And let me ask, so that I think that great example here would be, again, Helium and Filecoin, but I feel maybe I should go beyond these two examples. So for example, MakerDAO, using the Maker token as governance tokens. Of course, Uniswap, SushiSwap, they have created very successful platforms using tokens. Now, what we should learn from it is that you actually do need a good platform behind the token. The token itself is not going to create a platform. And just because you manage to sell tokens at the initial token offering event, it in itself is not going to perpetuate. You do need to put effort in providing functionality to the token, making sure that the actual service that the platform provides is valuable, and it's well coded. The protocol is well designed, and you need to constantly fix the bugs. But with that, you do need to be constantly vigilant on, especially with relation to the value volatility of the token, and therefore the user engagement, in possibly issuing maybe additional tokens or tokens with additional functionality.
Listeners, that brings us to the end of today's insightful episode on token economics, how blockchain is redefining value in digital platforms. A big thank you to Professor Hanna Halaburda for sharing her deep expertise and shedding light on the evolving role of token models in shaping digital ecosystems. Thank you so much, Professor Hanna Halaburda, for joining with us today.
Thank you very much for having me.